Hi, this is Don with Dr. Don's Buttons, and in this video I want to show you how to adjust the AC-1Circle Cutter and, if need be, cut the cutting guide insert for the proper size to make buttons for the size machine that you have. Here we have featured the AC-1Circle Cutter. We have the cutting knob, the adjustment tightening knob. Down here we have the cutting blade and the cutting arm. On top of the cutting arm, you'll notice that there are little holes. There are actually 5 little holes. Those are called detents. And those are what are used to make it easy to set the cutter to the proper size for 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 1/4 inch, 3 inch, or 3.5 inch buttons. Here we have the various components that come along with the AC-1Circle Cutter. Here we have the cutting plate, the cutting circle guide, the cutting arm with the blade attached, and this little doohickey down here, that's called a C-clip, and it's the C-clip that holds the cutting blade on the edge of the cutting arm. And what we need to do is take the cutter and turn it right side up, and we're going to loosen this maybe 2.5 turns. Now you don't want to loosen it too much, because underneath in this area there is a spring and a ball bearing. And if you loosen it too much, that can pop out. So maybe 2.5, 3 revolutions to loosen it. And that should make it easy enough to make the adjustment that's needed. So once you've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to turn the cutter upside down. And the easiest way to make that adjustment is to put your fingers here on either side of the cutting arm, and perhaps your fingers down here, and pull it back. If it's too tight and it won't move, just give that knob a couple more turns, and that'll make it easier to slide back and forth. Now what you want to do is to keep your finger off that blade. That cutting blade is sharp, and if you put your fingers on top of it, you'll very likely cut yourself. So the easiest way to do is to push on the side of the blade, push and pull. You'll see, and you can actually hear it click into place when you have the proper detent. So find the proper size detent for the button that you want to make, lock it in. Then turn the cutter back over, tighten the knob, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put the cutting guide insert back in the cutter. And you can see how nicely they pop into those detents, and they'll be perfectly adjusted for that particular size. Now, if by chance you need to make a size that does not have a detent, what you're going to need to do is to rotate that arm so the other side of the cutting arm is up and available. And then you're going to need to manually adjust the cutting blade so that it cuts that proper size. Now what I'm going to recommend that you do, if you have to do that, is to take a marker on either side of this little center shaft and mark it with a fine tip felt pen. That way, if for any reason you ever have to take that cutting blade or the cutting arm out or make it another size cut, it'll be easy for you to take it right back to where it was. We're going to slide the cutting guide insert into place or underneath the knurled edge, and that this main tab slips down into place. The AC-1Circle Cutter comes from the factory with the cutting circle guide cut to a 1-inch hole, or for a 1-inch button. And if you want to make another size, what you need to do is to take that cutting insert guide and cut it to the proper size. So what I'm going to do is show you how to make the adjustment and then how to do the cutting. Once you have the cutting guide insert in place, what you want to do is to put your hand, if you're right-handed, your left hand on the cutter as such, push down and turn the knob with the palm of your hand again and again and again. This might take 20-25 revolutions. So put some downward pressure, not too much where you're going to hurt yourself, but enough where you can apply firm pressure where eventually the cutting blade will cut through the cutting guide insert. Once you've cut through the cutting guide insert, it'll be set for the proper size that you just made.